preseason games tonight. And more importantly, in my opinion, we have week 0 football right around the corner that we're going to touch on Saturday. We have 6 games Saturday, 1 ranked game in Ireland, Kansas State, Iowa State. Super excited for that. And this is the final week of the NFL preseason. So we'll have college football kicking off this weekend, week 1 of college football next weekend, and then we're right into the swing of it for week 1 NFL. So it's a beautiful time to be alive. We have lasted all summer, all spring for this moment right here. And again, we're a little early, but we can always talk some preseason football. And then again, I'm super excited for Saturday's college football slate. So we're going to see how it gets going. Again, it's week 3 of the preseason. It's really tough to figure out who's starting, who's not for these teams. But we do have the Steelers and the Panthers tonight kicking off in just under an hour, 45 minutes. And then we do have the Patriots and the Giants at 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Some line movement in that Giants game. That's interesting. But again, it's really tough to see who is starting at quarterback. I mean, that's pretty much all you can look for. And from what I've seen, it looks like not a whole lot is happening in regards to starters. Historically, week 3 of the preseason has been the game where they get the starters in. But now this year, it kind of feels like they put the starters in early in week 1 or week 2. And it looks like a majority of these guys are going to be benched. So we're going to have a lot of backups at play. And it's just, in my opinion, picking the team, or the line is shifted to the team with the better backups. So again, really tough to get a read on this. Also, look at your own sources for who's in, who's out, especially at quarterback. And if you've seen anything different, Ethan, please let me know. But we have 2 games tonight. I do have 2 bets on these as well, with a little parlay. That's probably not a smart bet, but a parlay that I think it's going to be a fun for a Thursday night. But Ethan, welcome. How are you heading into this Thursday, this beautiful Thursday that's going to turn into a fantastic weekend of football?
Yeah, feeling really good that football's here. We've kind of talked about it a lot lately, how it's kind of like the blue balls part of the year where it's right there, but it's like not really right there. Preseason is just kind of a tease. Week 0, honestly, is kind of a tease. Probably outside of Kansas State, Iowa State, that should be a really good game. But it just it feels like I'm about to full bore dive into football, but we still really have, I'd say a week until NFL starts, about 2 weeks to really get diving in head first here. But yeah, good slate of preseason football over the weekend. Like you said, week 0. I'm still very focused on baseball. I have a huge baseball play going tonight. Actually, 2 pretty big plays going tonight. So really excited, kind of nervous about that. That's really taking up the majority of my mind today. But looking forward to talking football. Probably sit down and watch some of these games tonight as well.
Yeah. Let's just get into tonight's game. Again, 2 games tonight. We have, 4 tomorrow and then a couple on Saturday. But I'm going to be straight up honest with you guys. I'm not going to watch a lick of Saturday NFL preseason because there is college football on. Again, not that worthy of college football games besides that noon game. But still, I'd rather watch a live game than a glorified preseason practice over here in the NFL. But 2 games tonight. Steelers and the Panthers. It looks like the Steelers, these are all on DraftKings, is -6.5. Over under is 34.5. From what I've seen, again, this could be different from what you've seen. Looks like Pittsburgh's first offensive line will be starting, as well as Pittsburgh's defensive backs getting a little extra practice. And then Carolina is going to be sitting Bryce and Andy Dalton from what I've seen, which means they're going to have Plummer. And then they just acquired Perkins, the UFL quarterback, on Monday. So he'll probably get some snaps late in this game. Steelers, looks like they're probably going to be starting Rudolph, and then they got Skylar Thompson. So right off the bat, and I think the reason for the -6.5 in favor of Pittsburgh is just Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson are head over heels, Plummer and Perkins, who just got there, like I said, on Monday. So I think that's the reason for the line, because no Bryce Young and no Andy Dalton. But yeah, I'm having trouble with both these games today. My play in this game is going to be the under. I'm going to take the under of 34.5. I wish I got it a little earlier. I think it was at 35.5. But I just think this is a game that just, I know the Steelers might say they care about this, starting a couple starters, but this is the last game of the preseason. They're winding down. They don't want to get hurt. They're 2 weeks away from the start of their season, or 3 weeks away. So I really like the under in this. So that's going to be my play for Steelers and Panthers. If I had to pick who's going to win it, I would take the Steelers. I don't feel comfortable enough to take the 6.5, which is why I'll have a play shortly saying how I'm going to attack picking the Steelers to win this one. But who do you got, Steelers and Panthers?
Yeah, I agree with you. Really on both plays, under and Steelers minus the points. Like we said every single week, though, huge line move, open +3 down to -6.5. So no way, in my opinion, that you could really play the spread right now, even though they probably go out, win this game by 20 points. But just really no way for me to play. Preseason's been really tough this year. I feel like unless you get ahead of it Monday or Tuesday, you're really just kind of hoping at that point to get on the right side. So I don't know. I've kind of thrown preseason on the back burner, to be completely honest. I've looked at tonight's games, looked a little bit at tomorrow, just a touch on Saturday, but I'm really not looking to get involved on any of these final preseason games. I've gone 1-1 this year, and I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest, after going 1-6 last season. So yeah, really, haven't dug in as much as I should have for this game, but I think Pittsburgh, like you mentioned, have two really good, well, really just a good quarterback room all around. Carolina seems completely disinterested this preseason. They have scored a grand total of 13 points. So, yeah, I don't know. Carolina team total under, I think, lines up well with your full game under, lines up well with Pittsburgh rolling them right out of the building. Either of those looks is probably the way I would look at this game. Yeah, I think Pittsburgh probably wins comfortably, but not, I don't think they're going to go blow the doors off and put up 40 points themselves.
Yeah. Again, preseason's super tough. I don't recommend betting with a whole lot of units, but it is fun to sprinkle these, especially on a Thursday night. That second game tonight, starting in just over an hour and a half, we have the Patriots at the Giants. Now, this game, talk about line movement, this has been all over the place. Patriots opened at -1.5. I think that was when originally Drake May was going to be playing. They then got to 6.5 this afternoon. Now, currently looks like they're at a 6.5 point dog. Now it looks like they're only a 4.5 point dog. So this line's been up and down. I still would think Drake May is out. And that's what I've seen. That's what what they've said. But again, we don't really know. These coaches are super private come preseason, which I get it, but it's, I actually don't get it. Just tell us who's starting. It's practice. But, and then this total has moved a lot. I think this was at 38.5 this morning, and it's all the way down to 35.5. So again, I'm going to like the under as well. I think I locked this in at 30. I actually could see right here. I think I locked it in at 37.5. Which would be a great line. 36.5. So it's shot at the point. I locked that in at 5:33. So just over or under an hour ago, and the line's already moved the point down for the under. So I like the under as well. Again, I don't know how serious either team is going to take this. I don't know how serious they've taken the preseason, but this is, again, it's the last one. No one wants to get hurt. They're rolling right into the season after this. So I'm going to take the under, and then to parlay it with that Steelers, I don't feel comfortable taking the Steelers spread, so I'll take a Steelers money line, and I'll get super square and give me the Giants money line. That comes to about -110. It's probably a trap. I don't recommend throwing a lot of dollars on that. I threw a couple bucks. I just can't resist taking. I think these teams have better backup quarterbacks, so I'm just going to go with the better backup quarterbacks winning outright. But my favorite two plays tonight would be the under in both games. How about you?
Yeah, I'm really in the same boat. I don't have a huge lean on the total in this game. Really just because the Giants are pretty much scoring at will. They've put up 65 points in their two preseason games combined, allowed 37. So two games that have kind of flown over the total for them in their first two. Like we said last week, I do think it comes back towards the mean. I think unders hit more this week. I guaranteed it last week, and it didn't really happen. So 0-1 on the guarantees for the year. But yeah, you would have to think unders are more in play this week, especially being the third week of the preseason. You kind of mentioned it with starters not playing. I think teams are really just ready for that last week off before we get into some meaningful games. So I can't argue with your under. But yeah, I'd be on the Giants all the way here. I watched your solo video you did earlier. I think you said that was like the Hall of Fame preseason quarterback room or something to that effect, which is so true. I mean, is Russell Wilson playing at all? I thought he was. Okay. But yeah, Dart, DeVito, and Jameis. So yeah, that's about as good as it gets. Obviously, Dart, not any experience really, but a ton of upside there. I think he'll be a really good, probably one of the best or the best rookie quarterback from this class. So yeah, again, with the line move, when you could have gotten the Giants as an underdog early in the week, now you're laying close to a touchdown. Can't take that spread. So I don't disagree with your parlay. I would look for the Giants and Steelers both to win. They probably win comfortably. They probably cover the spread. I just don't think it's the smartest bet to lay the big price on either one right now. But yeah, it'd be Giants all the way in this game.
Yeah, and let us know what you guys like in these games or if what you don't like in these games. Do you have any other preseason you want to touch on before we briefly hop over to week 0 of college football starting on Saturday? I know we got a couple games tomorrow, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have not looked at them at all. Don't know how much I'll get involved tomorrow in preseason. I'm probably just going to start focusing and start placing bets on college football. But is there any games sticking out to you or reads that you like for the rest of the preseason games to close out week 3?
Yeah, I'll touch on one for each day, just if someone wants some action. Kind of coming into this preseason, I wanted to play on the Bears all 3 games. I cashed with them week 1. Like an idiot, I held off week 2 as they steamrolled Buffalo 38-0 on Sunday Night Football with not the world watching, but anyone who was interested in watching preseason football, that was the standalone game on Sunday night. And now they're an underdog against Kansas City. Kansas City has not looked good. They're 0-2, got steamrolled last week by Seattle, lost to the Cardinals. That line really makes no sense to me. It looks like over 80% of the public is on the Bears. Tyson Bagent, their backup quarterback, just got paid, which to me, he seems like the kid that would go out there and then play hard for the paycheck they just received, or the extension that he received, I guess. But, he could also, kind of be content where he's at and not play that well. You might see more of Austin Reed, I believe his name is. So I would probably have to look at Kansas City in that game. I would want to see a little bit more how the rosters are set come tomorrow night. But yeah, I can't hardly believe the Bears are underdogs. So, when the line is fishy like that, it's usually for a reason. So that's one way I'd look on Friday. On Saturday, first game up, noon Eastern, Baltimore and Washington. Found out this week that Washington, Dan Quinn, is basically the opposite of John Harbaugh, how John Harbaugh was in the preseason. I think that guy's covered one preseason since like 2015. Or something ridiculous like that. Probably not that long ago. But he's like 1-18 against the spread. They're plus 2.5. Baltimore 2-0, getting back to their winning ways in the preseason so far this season. I would look at Baltimore. I just don't think Washington's interested whatsoever. In preseason, they got blown out by the Patriots, lost by 30, lost by 14 on Monday night to the Bengals. Bit of a short week here. And yeah, when I heard that stat, that just tells me Dan Quinn does not give a rip whatsoever about preseason. So I'd look to lay the short number on Baltimore, probably just take the money line, potentially look at Kansas City. That's really as far as I've gotten, and probably as far as I'll get. I'm, like I said, not super interested in betting this final week of preseason.
Yeah, that's good intel. I like both those plays. Don't know how involved I'll get in the rest of the preseason this week, but the 2 standalone games tonight, again, I like both unders, and I'm on both unders in that game. And now let's get into a little bit of a preview of week 0 of college football. We have 5 games. The biggest and the earliest game is taking place in Ireland, and that is Farmageddon, and it is a ranked matchup between Iowa State and Kansas State, a massive Big 12 matchup that's probably going to have some implications on this postseason. Definitely going to, determine who's going to win the Big 12. I don't know if either of these teams are, but they're at the top. So a very, very fun and interesting way to kick off college football this year. Iowa State is number 22, and they are a 3-point dog against number 17, Kansas State. Over under, to my liking, has gone up a point. It's up to 50.5. This Big 12 matchup, Ethan, I'm having a really, really hard time picking who's going to win this. Iowa State's won 4 of the last 5. Kansas State, I think, is the better team. I think Kansas State has the better quarterback. Both have really good quarterbacks. But if you had to pick, who would you pick to win in Kansas State versus Iowa State?
Yeah, well, yeah. I hate to say it, but I'm probably just going to pass on week 0 unless something really sticks out in the next couple days. But I'm going to be busy anyway. I'm not hardly going to be able to watch. So I don't know. It feels a little random if I were to just pick a team. I'm big into the scheduling spots, big into the narrative spots, and week 1 or week 0, obviously pretty tough with that. I would lean Kansas State though slightly on the -3. Maybe if you could get a -130 on the money line, lay it that way. But yeah, I honestly, it's just kind of a gut play. We broke down the Big 12. If you guys have not checked that video out already, it is up on our YouTube page right now. So go check that one out. We do touch on both these teams, but obviously Kansas State has major implications in the futures market that Iowa State does not have. I think Iowa State, I feel like they almost overachieved a little bit last year, and they're due for a little bit of regression. Kansas State, they've kind of been down the last couple of years. I think since they had like Adrian Martinez and Deuce Vaughn, and some of those guys. So I don't know, just kind of to me, it feels like a little bit of hype almost out of nowhere on Kansas State. And Iowa State's just been kind of a consistent, decent team for years and years. I just think Iowa State falls a little bit this year. I think K-State kind of plays up to the hype. I don't know if they're going to go out and win the conference and maybe play quite as well as what people might think. But for this game here, I do lean Kansas State. Also, this was their final regular season game of last year. Iowa State did win that. It's tough to say there's revenge when there's been a full off season, but if you want to look at a touch of revenge angle, a little bit on the Kansas State side.
Yeah, if I had to choose, I would pick Kansas State. But honestly, I think you'd have better luck just flipping a coin and going off of that. I don't know. Last year we saw a massive upset in Week 0 when Georgia Tech took down Florida State. I think Florida State was top 10 at this time, and Georgia Tech was unranked, and that started Florida State's absolute demise that no one saw coming. But that was one of the worst teams in college football last year. And Georgia Tech, I think it was a close game. They beat them by, I think, a field goal or maybe like 6 points, something like that. But that happened in Week 0, same place in Ireland, Aer Lingus Bowl or whatever they want to call it. So I think Kansas State's a better team. I just think Iowa State's better coached. I trust Iowa State's quarterback a little bit more than Avery Johnson at K-State, even though I do think he is a better athlete. I think the Iowa State guy is just honestly a better true passer and just he works better under that offense. So I think Kansas State wins. I don't trust it at all to bet it. Like I said, I'm trying to get a little more square and just taking a little bit more of the obvious bets instead of getting too deep in my head. And I just got to go with the obvious here. We have two fantastic returning quarterbacks. We have I know these are usually two of the top 10 or two of the better Big 12 defenses, but that's not saying a whole lot. The Big 12 is notorious for putting up a lot of points and not playing a whole lot of defense. So two great returning quarterbacks, two proven offenses. Defenses, I think, are going to struggle a little bit. I'm just going to take the over. And I locked this in on Monday at 49.5. Like I said, it's at 50.5. I think this might go up still. I think there is some sharp money keeping this money down. But I think as we approach kickoff, this could get into that 51.5 territory for the over. So if I'm sitting there at 49.5, I'll be pretty happy. But I'm, again, super excited for this game. I wish I could give you a better read who's going to win. Week 0 is so damn hard, and so is week 1 in college football. We just don't know what to expect, especially in these ranked matchups. We have so many games. For example, Michigan's playing, I think, New Mexico, and they're a 36.5-point favorite. Like, there's really no diving into that. If you're taking a 36.5-point spread, you're probably an idiot, but that's what I'll be doing. But these ranked games this early are really hard for me to figure out who's good and who's not. So my best advice, put Kansas State on heads, put Iowa State on tails, flip it, and take that team money line or spread. I mean, these odds are close enough. That would be my best advice if you want to pick a winner. Like I said, I'm not going to get too much in my head, so I think the over should happen with these offenses. Is it a square bet? 100%. But I just think there's too much firepower on both sides of the ball for this over to not hit. Do you have anything else you want to touch on that game before we get into a couple of these stinkers?
Yeah, just last thing I'll say, I mean, I think the line is right there. So, along with your kind of coin flip theory, if this line moves to Kansas State 2.5, I think Kansas State, you take Kansas State. If it moves to 3.5, you take Iowa State. Like, I think it's that close. So, yeah, like I said, I'm probably staying away. If I would play Kansas State, I'd probably just play the big number on the money line. But yeah, like I said, I won't even really be able to watch it. So I'm probably not going to bet it without a big feeling either way.
Yeah, then we do have 4 other games. Unfortunately, 3 out of the 4 are pretty high spreads and probably games who am I saying? I'm going to have bets on them, but I haven't figured out those bets yet. We have Idaho State and UNLV. UNLV does have Alex Orji, the old Michigan backup, starting this year. We have Fresno State at Kansas. Sam Houston State at Western Kentucky. Then a game I am looking forward to, and I 100% will have money on, is Stanford and Hawaii. I'll just go into my one, if I had to bet right now, my one bet for those remaining 4 games. And I think I'm going to take a shot on Stanford money line. I have a little bit of, I don't know what to say, an acquaintance at Stanford that's keeping me to betting them. I, I don't know. I think I'm going to take Stanford at the money line. I know Hawaii at home is a tough place to play. I know Stanford's probably going to be the worst Power 4 team in the country. Stanford has a new coach, new quarterback, new OC, new DC. Hawaii has a pretty good transfer quarterback starting this year, but I think Stanford might give them a little bit of a run for their money. So I'll take a shot on Stanford at the plus 114 on the money line against Hawaii. And then my other bet, if I had to choose, I would take the over in Sam Houston State and Western Kentucky. I think that's just going to be a fun bet. A lot of offense on both these teams. I don't think their defenses are very solid. I think we're going to get a lot of big plays in Sam Houston State, Western Kentucky. So that'll be a fun over as well for Saturday night. Don't have anything right now for Fresno State, Kansas, or Idaho State, UNLV. But like I said, right now, one bet locked in over in Iowa State, Kansas State, and I 99% will have Stanford money line as well.
Yeah, I have just a couple leans, but again, nothing I'll probably play. UNLV, I mean, I'm not going to bet this at all, but I'm just curious to see if Orji can actually pass the ball this year. And if he can, then if he can at least pass on Idaho State, they're probably going to run train on Idaho State. So I don't know, maybe sit and wait, see how the first quarter goes, first half. Maybe jump in if they're not up too many points at that point. I do lean Kansas minus the 12.5, but big reverse line movement in this game. It was 14 down to 12.5 with looks like 65, 70% of the money on Kansas. So that's always fearful, but Jalen Daniels back at quarterback. I know he was out a lot of last year. They had a down year after having a really good year 2 years ago. So I think if he's back to where we're used to seeing him when he's healthy, they could really blow the doors off Fresno State. Also heard a stat today. I think Fresno State as a 12.5-point dog or worse has never won outright. I think they're like 0-30, I think I heard. So, if I'm looking to play a dog, I'm usually hoping they at least have a shot to win, and that tells me they probably won't. So I would lean Kansas in that game, but won't play that one. No feel of Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, and just a gut feeling, nothing to back this up, just what my gut's telling me, over Stanford, Hawaii. But I couldn't tell you why. Couldn't tell you why.
Well, I don't need that much reasoning to take an over, so
Especially a late game over.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be there. That sounds absolutely beautiful. Anything else you want to touch on? Again, this is just week 0. We have real games. Well, these are real games. We have college football week 1 starting next Thursday. And then, like I said, we have a fantastic game on Saturday between number 1 Texas and number 3 Ohio State. So make sure you stay tuned to our page over here, Better in Green. We will at least touch on these big matchups for week 1 and then throughout the entire season. But can't wait to talk more college football and NFL. We're so close to the start of it. Hopefully, you guys have a good Thursday night, win some bets tonight. Do you have anything you want to say before we sign off for the night?
Yeah. I mean, big weekend coming up. Honestly, probably for myself, even without betting much football, if any at all. But really just want to quick promote the big play for tonight. It goes in like less than an hour. There's only 3 games left. I have a free play out on the article as well for the Astros Orioles game. So check that out. That's actually, I've fallen in love with that play today. So completely free. It's in the article. It's all over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just go check out Better and Green. It's actually in Daily Dinger's YouTube description today that was posted. So it's all over the place, or go to our website. At least check out the free play. If you want to become a silver member, $5 a month, you get not only my plays, but you get everything Wyatt puts out, everything Ben puts out, Bobby, Noel, Aaron, for the month. So good deal there, especially with football starting back up. And then, yeah, you would obviously get the max play for baseball tonight as well, but less than an hour for that. So really looking forward to it. Excited, nervous, but it's kind of where my head is at right now, hoping that all goes smooth tonight.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, make sure you guys do follow along on YouTube. That's where we post majority of our content. But good luck tonight, and hopefully you guys can hit some bets, and hopefully we can go into week 1 of college football up a little bit of money from week 0 and the finale of this preseason. But until then, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll